another video. Obviously, with me standing in front of the computer, I am working. This is going to be another day in the life of a medical coder video. I'm actually almost done working, but I thought I could film just part of my day to give you guys some extra content for this week. And right now I am looking at some outpatient surgeries. Usually I'm talking about doing deliveries, vaginal deliveries, C-sections, those type of things. But today we are going to be doing some outpatient surgeries. Sorry, and I am under the weather. I don't know what happened, but I think going to, 2 different cookouts on the 4th, me and my 19-month-old who is sleeping right now. Or is he 20 months now? He might be 20 months now. Either way, him and I must have picked something up because we both have a stuffy nose. We're sneezing, and at night I get a dry cough, but he hasn't been coughing, thank God. But yeah, so if I sound a little nasally, it's because I'm under the weather. But let me change my filter here so we can look at some outpatient surgeries. And these ones go pretty quickly, and I really like doing them. So I have one here that I'm looking at, and it's going to be a hysteroscopy and DNC. So that code is going to be our 58558. And my diagnosis codes that I'm working with is for postmenopausal bleeding and cervical stenosis. So that's N95-0 and N88.2. Now, the operative note that I'm looking at does have the diagnosis and the ICD-10 code already on here. So that's how I'm able to, type it in so quickly, and sometimes I remember them. The CPT code is not on the operative note. It used to be, but recently we've had the CPT codes removed because sometimes, depending on the operative note the provider chooses, it might pick the wrong code. For example, let's say the patient was getting a diagnostic laparoscopy done on the abdomen. So maybe she was having like pelvic pain and they wanted to go in laparoscopically to see if there was any, any endometriosis, or maybe she's having maybe a cyst on her ovaries that's causing the pain, those type of things. So they would do a diagnostic lap. So let's say the provider chose that type of operative note and it says 49320 at the top. But in the operative note, they actually ended up doing a biopsy while they were in there. We are no longer billing the 49320. We will be looking at 49321. So that's one of the reasons why I think why they decided to remove the CPT codes from the operative notes, because it was kind of like conflicting. And if you had to send documentation to the payer, why does it say 49320 but you're billing this code? So yeah. Right now we are doing hysteroscopy and DNC. So I'm just going to skim through this documentation here and make sure that that is the code we are going to bill. So they did place the hysteroscope, and they also did a curettage. So that would be the C part, because it's dilation and curettage. That's what DNC stands for. So they did dilate her, and they reinserted the hysteroscope after doing the curettage. And let's see what else went on. Nothing out of the ordinary, and the procedure was done. So like I said, our CPT code is going to be 58558, and I'm going to look at pathology just to see if they found anything on those samples that were sent over from the curettage. And it looks like we have a benign endocervical polyp. So I can add that as like a third diagnosis, and that is going to be, I think it's N84-1. Yes, polyp of the cervix uteri. So that'll be my third diagnosis. And that is it. I do have my GC modifier on here because my provider was working with a resident And this one is done. I get a lot of questions too, like how many patients do you do in a day? That I have no idea. We don't count by patients to figure out our quota. Our quote is 20 charges per hour. I don't know if any other coders do this, but you can see what you're doing throughout the day because everything pretty much is being tracked, and you have to report your numbers at the end of the day when you do your productivity. So let's say, for example, for me, if I'm supposed to do 20 charges per day and I work an 8-hour day, you should have close to 160 some charges for me. And if you don't, then your miscellaneous tracker should explain whatever you were doing. It's not hard to keep track. Okay, so our next note is for a laparoscopic bilateral salpingectomy, and this is for sterilization. For this payer, let me see, who is the payer? Come on. Okay, so I think this payer is going to have us bill this on 2 lines. So when I say 2 lines, we are billing 58661 twice, and it's gonna go out on the claim with 2 lines. One line's gonna say 58661, and there's gonna be another line for 58661. If you guys have no idea what a claim form looks like, if you're doing Part B billing, which is billing for the physician, you want to look at a, oh gosh, this is like taking me back to the beginning. What claim form is it? I know the hospital is on a UB claim form, but I don't know why I'm drawing a blank with the Part B. Part B claim form. I want to say 15 for some reason, but I don't think it's 15. No, it just says Part B. 1099 maybe? Come on, help me out here. And I said 15. It's a 1500 claim form. I knew it was something with like 4 digits. I don't know why I thought 1090. Maybe I was thinking of something else. But yes, it's a CMS 1500 claim form. If you look at that, you'll see procedure code line. You'll see there's 1 through 6. It looks like there is here. So on line 1, it'll say 58661, and then on line 2, it'll also say 58661. So that's why we say 2 lines. All right, so let me get back to coding. My diagnosis is going to be Z30.2. I'm going to have a GC modifier on both lines. And let me just make sure that this payer wants it on 2 lines and not 1 line with the 50 modifier. So, let me see. Okay, so we're going to do 2 lines with the 50 modifier. I'm going to link my diagnosis code to both lines, and now I'm just going to read the note to make sure that this was performed and we didn't end up, you know, discontinuing the surgery or anything like that. If you did, you would still build the same code. You would just add a modifier, which I believe it is modifier 53. But let me read this. Okay, they took out both tubes completely. So 58661 is what we are going to be looking at. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This one is done. All right, next we have, let me make sure we are still recording. Okay, we are still recording. And same thing, we have another sterilization. The pair does allow for us to bill on 2 separate lines. Some pairs, they want you to bill only 1 line with a 50 modifier. And then some other pairs, they want you to bill it on 2 separate lines with 50 on both lines. So it just depends on the pair. But if you are studying for your CPC or COBGC and they are going to be removing the tubes for sterilization, I would only go with one 58661 and use the 50 modifier for bilateral. The code is not specific when it goes or when it talks about whether it's a unilateral or bilateral procedure. So that's why we use the 50 whenever they do, you know, both. So the reason why I'm billing it twice, obviously, is because payer policies. Once you get into actually medical coding as your job, you'll know how you're supposed to bill to certain payers. Which they really don't tell you anything about that when you're in school, like how you'll need to follow payer guidelines. I rarely remember when they were talking about payer policies when I was studying. Let me see here. So it should be the same thing. I'm just going to skim through the note. They took the tubes out completely. Well, let me not even just say that. Make sure the ports are being placed. You see all that information, so you know it was done laparoscopically. They didn't go in through the vagina. They didn't open her up and make an open procedure. This is a closed laparoscopic procedure, and we're going to be billing 58661 with the diagnosis Z30.2. All right, so let's see. And I'm just going to take a look at pathology. Yep, both tubes were sent off. And this one is done. There was no resident with, I don't know why I keep getting this error for exceeds 1. Let me go back and look again. It says Blue Cross. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've been billing this. I don't know what happened. Maybe there's something wrong with claims manager because this edit just keeps firing. And when I say this error, it's telling me that 58661 with an allowed daily frequency of 1 has been exceeded, meaning we can only bill it once, but I know for a fact that this payer allows us to bill it on 2 lines, so I just have to send it over to my team lead to have it forced out. Because Epic, the system that we're using, for some reason is not allowing me to push it out myself. So I'll have to have her force it out. So let me just send that over there. Okay, so I almost had another hysteroscopy in DNC, but since we already know that one, I don't want to keep doing the same things over and over again. So now I'm looking at a LEEP conization on the cervix, and my diagnosis code is high risk for HPV on the cervix. So that's going to be R87 810, and then there's also SIN3 with severe dysplasia, so that's D06.9. And let's see what else here. It looks like IUD strings were lost, so I don't know, maybe we're gonna end up removing her IUD for her if it was not able to be removed in the office. So let me read what the patient is here for. Patient admitted to the hospital with a brief history of SIN2 to 3 and HPV 16. She now presents for a LEEP and IUD removal after discussing therapeutic alternatives. So the patient was placed under anesthesia without difficulty. She was prepped and draped. Let's see. I don't see anything about them removing the IUD. Okay, so it says no IUD strings was visualized. A cyto brush was used to try and sweep the strings, but no strings could be located. So this patient might have to come back. They may do an ultrasound at the next office to see where it is, but she most likely will have to come back. They could do like a hysteroscopy in order to remove the IUD so they can see where it is, but it was not removed, so I'm not even going to bill the 58301. I'm just going to bill the LEEP conization. Let's see, large loop electrode was used to remove the cervical specimen around the SCJ. Cervix was excised and specimen was sent to pathology. The cervical bed was then cauterized with the ball to achieve excellent hemostasis. So 57522 is our conization on the cervix code when done with a electrode, loop electrode, whichever one you want to call it. In my book, I used to have LEEP written down, so that's LEEP. And that would remind me of the code that I need to look at whenever I do these LEEP conizations. But yeah, so that's my code. I have my diagnosis codes, and I'm going to check pathology to see if they still are saying she has SIN3, which I don't see anything here from pathology, so I'm not going to take it off. I'm going to keep it on because that was the pre-op and post-op diagnosis code. Now, if it would have said SIN1, then I probably would have changed the D069 to N870 because that is what SIN1 is. And when I say SIN, I mean CIN and then the digit, whichever one it is. If it's SIN1, it's N870. If it's SIN2, it's N871. If it's SIN3, it's D06.9. And the reason I know that is because I've been doing this for years now. You remember codes. All right. I will never forget when somebody commented and asked if you're supposed to remember every single code when you take your exam. Oh my gosh. I did not want to laugh, but I laughed. And then I, told them nicely, absolutely not. There's no way you are going to remember, what is it, like probably over 15,000 some codes maybe? Absolutely not. You're not supposed to memorize them and then go in and sit for your exam without your manuals. No, you need your books. Speaking of books, you guys have been asking me too about my books. So let me finish doing this really quick. Let me make sure there wasn't a resident in here. Nope, no resident. Okay, so your CPT book, which mine, okay, your CPT book, as you guys can see, I still have last year's. You can get this off Amazon. You can get this from the AMA. You just have to go on their website and look. You can get this from the AAPC. They even have bundles on the AAPC where you can get your CPT, your ICD-10, and your HCPCS book, all 3 manuals that you'll need to sit for your exam. I believe the AMA as well has bundles. Optum 360, I think it is. I don't think it's 365. I think it's Optum 360. They have bundles as well. You will definitely need your CPT book and you'll definitely need your ICD-10. I always say get HCPCS last because you're going to have, I think, maybe like 3 questions, maybe 5, but 3 questions on HCPCS. All the other questions are going to be with these 2 books. My ICD-10 book that I absolutely love, the publisher for this is Decision Health. I love Decision Health because, I don't know, I just fell in love with this a couple years ago when we switched from Optum to this one. At first I didn't like it. And then I was like, well, hang on. I did like it because I love that the guidelines are like right here next to the codes. And when you take your ICD-10, best believe you are going to be tested on, are you following the guidelines? So sometimes it's nice to have the guidelines right there in front of you when you're trying to figure out which answer is correct. So let me see, for example, let me see if I can find a page that has the guidelines right next to it. Okay, so like here, right here at 010, you see the purple here? Those are guidelines. And it's right there in that section. Same for on this side at 009, the purple there where it says guidelines. So that way you can just eliminate flipping back and forth. I'll show you guys the front again because they do have different types of ICD-10 books on Decision Health website. I use the ICD-10-CM for Physicians Expert. And this is what it should look like. It should say 2024 when you guys are on their website. And I believe these ones are usually under $100. I'm not sure how much the CPT books are, but they're probably around the same price, $100. And then HCPCS, that's usually the cheapest one. But yes, you definitely need both of these books, ICD-10 and CPT. So those are my books that I like to use. And you guys know I will have my book lift here because you guys asked about it. I'll have that linked, and then also this lamp that I like to use. It was sent to me and I've been using it for years. It's by Simpa. I'll have that linked as well. I did see they have a white one from Walmart, and I think there was a black one maybe on Amazon. That's where I got this one from. But yeah, everything else I really don't feel like I need to link because we can get wireless keyboards when we're at Walmart. Same thing for a wireless mouse. I don't need to start linking everything down to my pens. But yes, those are my books. Let me just see how long I've been recording because I did want to keep this to about 30 minutes. That way I'm not editing for long periods of time. So let me see how long we've been on here. I may do 2 or 1 more and then we'll end it. So we're a little over 20 minutes. So I do want to try and get to 30. So let's see, what do we have next? I have another outpatient surgery. This time it's going to be, okay, this one's a hysteroscopy DNC with endometrial ablation. And they use the NovaSure for that ablation. So that's not going to be the 58558. will be real close. It's going to be the 58563. That is going to be our hysteroscopy on the endometrium with ablation. So my diagnosis is for abnormal uterine bleeding as well as menorrhagia with an irregular cycle. So those codes are N93.9 and N92.1. I'm gonna switch them around because some pairs, they want that menorrhagia code first. So I'm just gonna switch those around in case this one were to be one of those pairs. And let me see here. Okay, so when reading the documentation, you definitely want to make sure that they inserted the ablation device and that it was activated and performed when billing the 58563. If they decided not to do the NovoSure and they only went with a hysteroscopy and D&C, I know some people may have conflicting answers because they may say, well, the intent was to do 58563, but they actually only did 58558. It just depends sometimes, like what you feel like going with as the coder and, you know, using your own judgment. But they actually performed it, so we are going to keep 58563. And let's see, everything went well. I'm going to take a look at pathology. And this looks good. All right, so let's do one more. And let's see, is it gonna be another code? No. Let's see what this one is going to be. Nope, another hysteroscopy, D&C. Let's see what this is. Another leap. Okay, so not gonna do those. I'll just leave those sit there. All right, I have an easy one. This one's gonna be an office visit, and it's gonna be for a patient coming in. It looks like this might be her IUD swap out. All right, so she's also billing an E&M. So sometimes I'm a little bit iffy when they bill E&Ms, and she's also billing a level 4 E&M in the office. And she's going over the patient's ultrasound results because I think the IUD was misplaced or malpositioned, I should say. But she's billing for the removal. So I don't know what the reason for the E&M is. So I'm actually, she has modifier 25 on here. I'm going to take it off just because it's going to fire an error whenever you're billing a procedure in an E&M. Epic will, you know, have a pop-up and it'll say that these services most likely are bundled or something like that. So I'm going to send this over to our claims review analyst, so that way she can determine if this E&M is billable or not. I'm not about to stress about it. E&Ms in the office are just like not my cup of tea, except for prenatal visits. Those are so easy, but when it comes to this other stuff, it just, office E&Ms give me a headache. Because a lot of it seems like it would be included. Like, she went over the ultrasound and all it said was that all it showed her was that the IUD was malpositioned and it was in the lower uterine segment. Is that worthy of 99214? I don't know. Maybe because she did the ultrasound. I don't know. So I'm going to have our claims review analyst figure that out. But besides that, she did, looks like, remove the IUD. Yep, they removed it and they inserted a new one. So our CPT codes are going to be 58301 for the removal, 58300 for the insertion, and J7298 for the Mirena they placed. And our diagnosis code is going to be the displacement of the intrauterine contraceptive device for the removal. And then I'm also going to add Z3430 diagnosis for the insertion on my IUD insertion code, the 58300, and then the Mirena, so the J7298. Those two will have the Z3430. The removal will have the displacement diagnosis, and then her E&M will have the displacement as well. And I will have our claims review analyst figure out if that E&M is billable or not. But my part, review procedure only, is done, and now I can send it over to her to have her determine if the 99214 is billable with a 25 or not. Please review documentation to determine if 99214 is billable. In addition to IUD removal and insertion procedures reviewed by me and ready to resubmit. And there it goes. So yeah, I hope it was another, fun video. It was a quick one, even though they're usually all about this time frame. I just feel like it was more quick because I was already ready to get to it, and you guys watched me do it versus just watching my screen. Usually I hope everything looks nice and crisp, and I don't look a hot mess, even though I feel kind of a hot mess with my nasal congestion and all that. But thank you all for watching. I will see you guys in my next video, and it will be book related. I promise you it'll be book related. Let me show you guys why I've been taking so long to get this book haul out to you guys. Let me show you. Look at this. And this isn't even all of them. I cannot stop buying books. And I can't do the video because I continue to add to the pile. But I swear to you, I am done buying books. Even though I know my husband heard me say that probably 6 times within the last few weeks. But I promise you, I'm done buying books. I'm going to do my book haul immediately. Okay, probably today or tomorrow I will record my book haul. And I cannot wait because, you guys, I probably have over 25 books that I need to unhaul, is what they say in the booktube world, but I'm super excited. So yeah, that's it for this video. I will see you all in my next one. Bye guys. And if anybody's wondering why I have this money sitting here, this is money that I've saved during my challenges, my weekly challenges, and I have to deposit this money today, so I have it sitting here on my desk so I don't forget. But these actually, saving money, doing sinking funds, it actually adds up. So if you feel like starting out by saving $10 a week isn't even gonna, do anything, even if you're saving $2 or $5 in ones, you guys, those $2 challenges definitely add up. And that's why I have so many ones, because it's just fun to save. And I've done YouTube shorts with saving money. I haven't done savings challenges recently because I don't know. I thought about it. I was just like, I don't know if I want everyone to know how much money I'm saving. So I decided to just, do that on my own. And now I know you guys are probably wondering why she has that money sitting there. But it's so that I remember to take it to the bank when I'm done working. But yeah.